Well, this Blue Jays season can't get any worse. It doesn't seem like Carter's sick. He's not even here. We had to bring in the B team. What's going on?
You are Locked On Blue Jays, your daily Toronto Blue Jays podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Thanks for making Locked On Blue Jays your first listen every day. We are free and available wherever you get your podcasts and on YouTube, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. This episode is brought to you by Booking.com. Yeah, that's right. The right stay can make you a fan of any city, even your rivals. Check out Booking.com for your stay today. I'm Braden Iwasko. He's Skylar Peters, I guess. You can find us on Twitter, Braden5 Iwasko, Skylar A. Peters, and on Instagram and TikTok at Locked On Blue Jays as well. If you're new here on YouTube, drop a subscription. Helps us out. Keeps us at the top of your guys' page for all your Blue Jays news. That's a mouthful when I got to do it all.
Sorry, buddy. You carry the lifting. I supply the vibes. You know that.
That's right. That's right. No, we appreciate you being here. Carter is down and out. He's been absolutely, it seems like deathly ill. That guy might have, I don't know, I was going to say something that I probably shouldn't say on here, but probably like COVID, we'll say maybe. There we go.
I think I know where you're going, but we'll discuss tomorrow.
Yeah, it's fine. No, it's all good. He's feeling sick. He's down and out. He was went to the cabin last weekend, and he, I guess, caught something. Apparently, a bunch of people are getting like strep throat, so he's a little bit worried about that. Well, Peters, I guess we're just here. Like, this is just another Blue Jays loss, another day. You know, another day, another dollar for the boys here.
Yeah, I don't know. It kind of feels like it's more over than it has been. Maybe it's because I knew I was coming on the podcast. They said at the beginning of this game, I had the ability to watch this full one at work before you and I popped on the show at 3 p.m. That was pretty crisp. Game ended at like 2:51. And Buck and Dan said something about series splits aren't good enough. They're aiming for obviously a split in the 4-gamer here against Houston. Did not get that, of course, and fall to the Astros and just go 1-3 on the series after, an encouraging first couple of games, and they were in both and, got one win, but it doesn't feel good going out on a West Coast swing, get a couple of tough teams coming up here. Trade deadline is obviously quickly approaching. The All-Star game is quickly approaching, and it's a moment where everyone, takes stock of where their team is at. And I think anyone taking stock of this ball club right now, I don't think you have a whole lot of playoff aspirations. 16 games behind the division leaders and 8.5 or 8 back in the wild card race right now as well. So looking a little bleak, and I think our priorities will really start shifting over the next couple of days as we head towards All-Star break.
Oh man, it's just sad. Like even with our views, we see that we were talking about this beforehand. Like people are starting to lose hope, and you can tell. And maybe it'll pick back up around the trade deadline when the Blue Jays obviously are going to have to make some type of move. What that'll be is yet to be seen. There's been a lot of talk sort of back and forth, and we'll definitely get into that in the second segment. Vladdy has made another statement because this guy just talks to the media every day. He wants the spotlight on him, so he will speak to anybody and everybody at this point. And then, of course, we still got the series preview for the next one coming up. Let's just get into this one. I mean, the double play ball is what kills this squad completely.
Five?
Okay. Yeah.
5 double plays. I think grounded into 4 and 1 caught and then thrown out down at first base. And this was reminiscent of 2022 Blue Jays baseball, where they couldn't stop hitting into GIDPs and, sewering themselves in situations where they, had some runners in scoring position. This team is really middle of the pack in terms of runners left on base. Today it was not, an exemplary day in that regard. They'd be falling up the leaderboard before they go down it a little bit for sure and in towards the right side of the numbers. But, just frustrating. I think that the deal with me this series is you had chances to score runs in tied games. Today was another opportunity at 3-3. Runners on the corners, 1 out. I think this is top of 4, bottom of 4, could be bottom of 3. And then you go into the next half inning, and next thing you know, the Astros tag on 2. They take the lead. They never look back. That happened 2 times in this series, and it was really frustrating, especially on what was that, Tuesday night? No, Wednesday night that was as well. Last night for us, I guess, here as we record on Thursday. So missed opportunities, and like it feels like these wins aren't that far away, really. And you're playing a good club. I think they've won 12 out of 14. They're doing it without Kyle Tucker, which is hilarious because he was probably their best hitter in the early going when they weren't playing well. Now they don't have him after he fouled one off his shin. And they're still playing well. And Yordan Alvarez literally is the best hitter to ever visit Rogers Center. 1219 OPS or something like that. He's now officially the best hitter that's ever visited the Rogers Center in its illustrious 35-year history. So a little stat for you. And I don't blame John Schneider for intentionally walking him twice in the last 2 days with runners already on base. The open base was second yesterday. I think the open base was third today. I wasn't looking at the television at that point. Got out of it today, made himself look good. Schneider did. It still burned them yesterday in that loss as well. But hey, Astros it's a team of pros. First-year manager, really impressed with the way that this club's handled a really tough start and having a whole rotation essentially on the IL. Maybe some overcoming adversity that this ball club that we talk about every day could learn from.
Yeah, and that's sort of the disappointing part of it. I think you saw teams sort of at the beginning of this season go through the same struggles that the Blue Jays did. And then to see them pick themselves back out of the dirt and watch the Blue Jays just, I don't know, roll around in it is pretty much what we're at right now. It's tough to see. It's disheartening as fans. Everybody knows that. In a series that you needed so badly to at least split. Don't get me wrong, the Astros are a very good team, but you got to find a way. And I think the bats started to heat up over the past 2.5 series here. And they just they're just not able to still do enough. We can talk about heating up. George Springer looks better, but it's not enough. It's really not enough. And we look at these teams being able to score runs in multiple innings. And that's the one thing I've been bagging the Jays on all year is they might have one good inning where they get 3, 4, 5 runs, but they're not able to score throughout the entirety of the game. There's absolutely no support run. And that's what really comes down to killing them. You saw the Astros and the Blue Jays both get 3 runs in this past game in the first inning. And then after that, the Blue Jays can't put up another run. And the Astros tack on a couple more, and that's the ball game. That's where it's written right there.
Yeah, it's exactly what happened on Wednesday. And Monday wasn't the Blue Jays day from probably the gate to start this series. But, I think the thing with this team that's really frustrating, if you're still invested in this season and you think there's a chance, is that you've seen things from this team in this homestand against both the Yanks and Astros that we were pining for over the last 2.5 months. Scoring runs in the first inning. I think they did that 3 times in the last 5 games. You've got George Springer leading off again, smashing the baseball around. Love to see it. Spencer Horwitz, some of these young guys are really swinging the bat well. Horwitz went up against a lefty today and looked really good doing it. Had some great at-bats, some great hits. He put it to the opposite field for a couple of singles as well. I thought he probably had, his best series as a Blue Jay. And you've got guys filling in, defensively as well. We saw Isiah Kiner-Falefa go on the IL, really tough bounce for the Blue Jays. You call up a guy, he fills in, he gets 2 at-bats, draws a walk in his first MLB game as well. So, the young guys contributing, some of the guys that, you need to count on if this Jays team is going to be successful, having success. And all of a sudden you're probably looking at the bullpen right now and the injuries that we have and, the lack of ability to throw guys out there in the 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th. And know that they're going to help you close out a game. And that's kind of, it's really like the tables have turned on this team over the last 3 weeks.
Yeah, and that's super upsetting. Don't get me wrong. And we didn't even talk about the Bichette injury coming off the last game. He was out, so you're out. You're missing 2 of your middle infielders or your infielders. I don't even want to say middle infielders, but IKF and Bichette. Mm-hmm. And we need guys to step up. And we've been sort of, biggest David Schneider fan right here. But we've been dogging on him. He has not been playing well. Today he gets 2 hits. And that's what we need to see from him. We don't even need David Schneider. We said he's more of a surrounding piece, not necessarily somebody that you want to be relying on all the time. But when he's putting up 2 hits a game, how can you be upset? It's the rest of this lineup. The Daulton Varsho drop off is
monumental. Matt Chapman, actually, some would say.
It is. It's painful. We actually, I want to throw this one out to you. We have a guy, he comments all the time. And we love the comments. Honestly, even if you have different opinions than us, we still love to hear them because it gets us thinking and it brings up a topic like this. and this topic is brought up a lot from this guy. He says that with the injuries and everything that we should have kept, we've had this conversation, but we should have kept Matt Chapman and Whit Merrifield and played them there. I don't know how many times I have to say this. I will never be on the side of that we should have kept Matt Chapman or Whit Merrifield. I think they're both bad. I don't need to see either one of them. Matt Chapman, his fielding percentage isn't even close right now at IKF. Yeah. So I just don't even understand how that's a thought. I get it when you're talking about the injuries and stuff, but then you would have those guys there and those guys might have gotten injured. There's zero correlation here for me with even computing the reason that you throw out there that you want to see Matt Chapman or Whit Merrifield. They wouldn't be helping this team. Their averages are terrible. Matt Chapman's not hitting for as many home runs as he maybe started the season with, and where the argument could have been. There's no move that this team could have made in keeping guys from last season that would have made an impact this year. Brandon Belt's gone to the I don't know, to Mars somewhere probably. Whit Merrifield might as well be hitting 100. Matt Chapman's doing nothing. The only guy that maybe you could say that you miss is Hicks, who's now a starter, and there was absolutely no way he was coming back. So looking back at the offseason, I've been beating this drum, is that they needed a guy. They needed a big name signing, a guy that you're confident in, that you would know that would come put up numbers. And they didn't make that signing. The adjustment period has been nowhere to be found. I don't know. I don't know. I think where they go from here. And I mean, we could get more into this game, but like, again, what do you want us to say? Chris Bassitt, I don't know, 5 innings pitched, gives up 4 runs. Great.
Up first, game's back though. Like, the pro he is. Loads the bases, gives up some runs. You didn't look really good at all. And then he just bounces back a little bit and, gets some innings in at least and saves this bullpen because it's thin as is. And you've got a massive road trip coming up. So I wasn't disappointed in Chris Bassitt's effort.
No. And I think what more so I'm saying is that Chris Bassitt's going to be the same guy he is all the time. He's been showing this. He's a guy that's going to be there, that's going to eat some innings up for you. And it's nothing new. You see this with most of our pitchers right now, is that they come in and they throw well, or our starting pitchers, they come in and they throw well, and then they get no help in return. And that's, of course, what keeps happening. The bullpen either blows or the offense doesn't show up. Henny Cabrera, a good day today, actually, threw an inning and a third, striking out 2 guys, giving up no hits. Trevor Richards comes in, gives up a run, gets 4 Ks in an inning and 2/3. Good day from him. Chad Green, good day from him as well. This again comes down to it not being necessarily a bullpen issue today, but it's one or the other. It's either the bullpen doesn't show up, it seems like, or there's no offense and there's no in between. There's no chemistry going on with this lineup throughout the whole thing.
Yeah, the one thing that I wanted to say when you asked me on here, Braden, is I'm not surprised that we're in the situation they're in, because if I look back to 2023 and I think, who are the best 4 relievers on the Blue Jays? Erik Swanson plays in Buffalo. Tim Mayza just got DFA'd this week. He's been horrendous. And I feel bad. Probably the longest tenured Blue Jay in terms of majors time. He's had a good run with us. Really sad to see it go like this, if this is really the end for him. Jordan Romano's on the IL. Jordan Romano will not probably throw a baseball for the Blue Jays for the rest of the year, because he's going to come back and pick up a baseball at the end of August. And what's the point? We're going to be a million games out of the wild card. And who's the 4th player? I'm thinking Erik Swanson, Jordan Romano.
From last year, it'd be Hicks. But
Mayza. Well, Jordan Hicks was acquired at the deadline.
Yeah.
And Jimmy Garcia is the other guy I'm thinking of. All 4 of these guys are in the Blue Jays organization and not playing baseball for them right now, whether it be injuries or poor performance. And it's just really sad, because you have no leverage guys. Like Trevor Richards is a guy I came on this podcast and said it's probably going to be DFA'd by now. And he's here and Tim Mayza isn't. And, all the credit to Trevor Richards, who's kind of bounced back. But you just don't have guys right now. And it's not really anybody's fault. I don't think you can look at Ross Atkins and, wonder why he didn't keep Jordan Hicks, because it wasn't going to happen.
No.
There were lots of good arms. It was a great bullpen. It's a great starters rotation, obviously, with this team. And, nothing's come together at the right time for this Blue Jays team. And I think at some point, we've basically seen a little bit of it from almost everybody, except for our starting shortstop, who was starting to put it together yesterday, Wednesday, and then he ends up getting hit by a pitch and misses today. Hopefully it's just out, today and can bounce back for the start of this Mariners series on Friday.
Yeah, and I mean, I don't know. We have so much to talk about, obviously, leading up to the trade deadline. We're going to have a ton of episodes on this, probably a big roundtable trying to get as much insight as possible. I think everybody's got a little bit different perspective on maybe what this team should do or what's going to happen. And I don't think any of us necessarily really know. And that's sort of the problem. I think we sit here today and we all think that we have an idea of what they should do. And it feels like Ross Atkins is going to do the complete opposite at some points. So it's going to be very interesting in that sense. I mean, the rest of today's game, I mean, there's not much else to cover. There's something big that I want to get into, something that annoys me. And that's what Vlad said to the media yesterday afternoon. So we want to get into that. And then, of course, we still got the series preview. We're going to take a quick break, and then we'll be right back. Today's episode is brought to you by Booking.com. Booking.yeah. With summer travel heating up, especially travel for baseball games, it's time to explore those U.S. cities you've always secretly wanted to learn more about. Yes, we're talking about your rivals' cities with hotels, bed and breakfast, vacation rentals, resorts, and so much more on Booking.com. You might just find the perfect stay, even in your baseball rivals' city. As you guys know, we went down to Toronto, caught a bunch of baseball games, and we used Booking.com. They even have some stuff in Canada. It's really good to use. As well, we went to New York. We used Booking.com, of course. It really helped us out with figuring out where and for how long we wanted to stay, what we wanted to do. And we're heading down to Minneapolis at the end of August as well. So we're probably going to use Booking.com for that. From hotels that overlook stadiums to family-friendly resorts, Booking.com has so many choices across the U.S. for your summer travel this MLB season. The right stay can make you a fan of any U.S. city, even your rivals. Book today on Booking.com or on the site or in the Booking.com app. Today's episode is also brought to you by eBay Motors. I know Carter usually does this ad and probably has some, smart ass remark towards me for this one. Passion, drive, and patience, the formula for winning championships, is also what keeps your ride or die alive. eBay Motors has everything you need to maintain your vehicle and level it up to peak performance. Superchargers, roof racks, exhaust kits, LED headlights, and more. Whether you're into speed, power, or style, eBay Motors has you covered. With over 122 million parts for your number one ride or die, you'll always find exactly what you're looking for. And with eBay Guaranteed Fit, your part is guaranteed to fit your ride every time or your money back. Because with eBay Motors, you're burning rubber, not cash. With all the parts you need at the prices you want, it's easy to make your car the MVP and bring home some huge wins. Keep your ride or die alive at ebaymotors.com. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply. eBay Guaranteed Fit is only available for U.S. customers. Not quite in time there. Almost had it.
Look, that's new.
This is a new little setup here I'm throwing at you. Skylar, I don't know, man. You know what? We go through these episodes and it's tough. You do a show like this every day, and you want to try to bring some new perspectives and new takes. And I think that's why sometimes we want to have you or Dal on once in a while just to give us some fresh outlooks here, because it seems to be this whole season's continuing down the path of not going well. In saying that, a lot of players have talked to the media about what their plans are or what they're expecting from this sort of trade deadline here. And I think it was last week, Vlad came out and pretty much said that he'd be open to playing for any team. He's happy wherever he's wanted. Today he comes out to the media, and I mean, I don't know, like I just get frustrated when stuff like this comes out. But Vladimir Guerrero Jr. says, "I don't want to leave. I want to stay here my entire life." I don't know. I don't know what to take away from this anymore. Like you go out and say that you'd be fine playing with the Yankees a week ago. What's changed from a week ago to now that makes you want to stay? Or is this just all trying to get in the limelight any way you can, Skylar? What do you think Vlad's thinking here?
I will start with your second comment or question and answer resounding no, because Vladimir Guerrero Jr. is the best player on the Blue Jays right now. There's no doubt about that. He's reigning AL Player of the Week. He had 8 home runs in 6 games that week. He has shown, that he still can do this. Can he sustain it for a period of time like he did in 2020? We don't know that yet. That's a bigger question. got named AL first base starter for the All-Star game, second time starting an All-Star game, fourth All-Star game not altogether. He also went in a home run derby before his first All-Star game. How old is Vladimir Guerrero Jr., folks? He is 25 years old. He's 2 years younger than me. He makes me feel like I've done absolutely nothing with my life. And I get the fact that, you know, we've gone back and forth on this a couple of times, and the shush celebration came back against the Yankees 2 days after he said he'd be open to playing for anybody, including them. I truly believe that Vladimir Guerrero Jr. does want to stay in Toronto. I think he wants to be the best player on his baseball team. I think the best players in baseball want that for themselves and for their baseball team because they want to contribute and they want to be a star. And yes, Vladimir Guerrero Jr. likes the spotlight. Absolutely. But the fact is he's getting asked, you know, by the media about this almost every single day with your name and trade rumors, you know, 2 teams coming to town that, you know, would have supposed interest in you in the Yankees and the Orioles. It's not just the Toronto media that's asking him this in those instances. It's the people that follow those teams around. So in the limelight, wanting to stay in the limelight, no, I think he does that with his play and he knows that. And I do think he wants to stay a Blue Jay. I don't, you know, the bigger conversation for another day is what does an extension look like with him? Because he's shown he can do like otherworldly things at times. What does his trade value look like if you're serious about that heading into the deadline? But I do believe that Vladimir Guerrero Jr. wants to be a Blue Jay and he wants to be part of the solution and not part of the continuing problem.
Yeah, and I agree. And the reason I ask you these questions is because I scroll through Twitter all the time, and these are some of the things I see from fans, and I disagree with them for the spotlight, limelight, whatever you want to call it, as well. The one thing that gets me with Vlad, and this is with some superstars as well, I think of Bryce Harper in the same vein. I'm not a Bryce Harper fan at all. I've been very openly in saying that I don't like Bryce Harper at all.
That's crazy.
I love Vlad. I really do. And you can see it in him that he loves Toronto. He loves Canada. He loves being the man of the nation. And that's huge.
Can you blame him? Because his dad was the same thing. Like,
Yeah.
It's just so obvious, you know.
Yeah.
I don't think anybody's be surprised.
No, and I think that he loves it and he wants to be the face of the franchise. He wants to be on the cover of MLB The Show, and because he is playing well, and I think, you know, he had a down season last year. He really got dragged through the mud, and he's playing well again. And I necessarily don't think he's gotten the recognition from this season that he deserves. Yes, he's an all-star, and yes, he got voted in. But at the beginning of the season, and we were a catalyst for this, in those first couple of weeks, we were thinking Vlad's done. He's not going to bounce back. Was that 2021 season a blip in his career? Was that the best we're ever going to see from him? And me and Carter went back a couple days ago, and we were talking about the ages of some of these players. And Vladimir Guerrero Jr. is only 25. I think everybody can expect that we have not seen Vladimir Guerrero Jr. in his prime yet. Maybe that might be the most home runs he ever hits. That's a possibility. But is it his prime? I don't think so. I think he's got a lot of years left that he can give to the Toronto Blue Jays organization. And honestly, if I'm looking at a couple guys between Vlad or Bo, who I honest to God believe that maybe don't want to be here, it's Bo by a long shot, by a mile and a half. That guy's running to the Dodgers as we speak, probably.
And if there's, I would love, please get my DMs on Twitter. If you are a fan who at the day after the trade deadline wants to see Bo Bichette, a Blue Jay, and Vladimir Guerrero Jr. on another team in baseball, please, I would love to have a conversation. I need to know why, because I don't think anyone, not only, you know, before last week, but at all, you know, can believe that with the way that Bo handles himself in the media, you know, a guy that's just, you know, been in a season-long slump. And I really did feel bad for him on Wednesday, you know, putting together a pretty good game after getting to the cages, apparently at 2:30 with Don Mattingly, and, you know, kind of letting the bench coach hear him out on some things. It seemed to turn it around almost immediately, gets hit by a pitch. Now he's out of game, hopefully not longer. I do feel bad for Bo. Vladimir Guerrero Jr. is the only player on this baseball team capable of winning MVPs. Yeah. He is the only player capable of winning the home run title, and home runs aren't everything. I get it, but you just watched Yordan Alvarez blast his way through the Rogers Center. He hit it to every section in the freaking park over the last 4 days. And you tell me this is the only guy, I'm looking at his picture on the screen, the only guy that can come close to doing what Yordan Alvarez can do and has done is Vladimir Guerrero Jr. You want that guy on somebody else's team? Well, then you better be prepared for 5 or 6 years of this team being like the Orioles used to be. And if you're fine with that, in terms of them maybe getting to be a division leader 6 years down the road, thanks. But it's going to be a long 6 years, Braden, for you and Carter in the meantime, if they dish this guy at the deadline.
Oh, absolutely. I can't see a universe where they trade Vlad. I think he's, like we've talked about it, and I've said this a million times, the face of the franchise. If you go to any store, whose jersey are you finding on the shelves? It's Vlad. And it's only Vlad sometimes.
Says the guy that asked you to buy him a Davis Schneider jersey.
Well, that's where I had to go. I had to get you to pick one up in Toronto. You couldn't get those anywhere.
I get it. Yeah,
so, and don't get me wrong. I think that Bo would hurt you. On any other team, Bo is gonna hurt you. He led the league 3 years in a row in hits. This guy is going to turn it around, and he's gonna hurt you if you trade him. The problem is, Ross Atkins goes into the media and he starts talking about he believes still that this team has what it takes. And maybe not this year, but they have what it takes. And they're looking, they got I can't remember who it was, asked him about 2025. He's like, well, we're taking it one game at a time. I'm like, how is that possible? You're out this year. You're done. I think every Blue Jays fan in the world knows that this is not a playoff team. This is not a World Series team. This is done. And I hate to be the bearer of bad news if you didn't know that, but if you haven't, I don't know what you're doing here.
I hope somebody today was like, I'm going to turn on Locked On Blue Jays. It's July 4th, and I'm going to start watching the baseball season. How are the Blue Jays doing?
I can't remember where we got
on this podcast. That'd be so good.
Yeah, we actually had a fan. I think it was his first or second season watching the Blue Jays, and he picked the Blue Jays as his team to watch. And I loved it. And he said, I actually just started watching your team or this podcast so I could know more about baseball and figure out all the little parts of it. And it was an awesome text to receive. But in the same vein, I can't believe you picked this year to start watching the Blue Jays.
Yeah.
So good on him. Good on him. We're going to have so much more talk on the Bo, the Vlad debate, the who's going to go, who's going to stay. And I honestly, Skylar, I was going to call you Carter. Sorry about that. I honestly believe, I honestly believe that this team is going to let us down at the trade deadline. I feel like there's not going to be as many moves as we think. I feel like there's not going to be enough change. We're going to go into the offseason and we're going to go back to what we started this season, a little bit of misplaced optimism. And then go into next season and potentially see the same thing. And that's what I'm the most scared of. I think if this baseball club can find a direction and give its fans what they think, just any direction, they'd be much happier. But it seems like everybody is in this zone of not really understanding where the light is at the end of the tunnel.
I agree with you. I'll kind of wrap up my thoughts on the trade deadline because I know we'll probably pop on again a couple times before that comes around. The one thing I will say about this, and if you're starting to think about the trade deadline, how the Blue Jays factor into it over the next couple of weeks, is the Blue Jays are a team based on two things. And it's abundantly clear. They want good pitching from the first inning to the ninth, and they want people that can play defense. And it's not about the bats. And trust us, we know, because we've watched 90 games of this baseball club. It's not about the bats with this team. There are a lot of teams out there that have the bats. The Astros are a great example. I think everyone in their lineup today, 1 through 9, hits above the MLB average for OPS, which is incredible. And then you got guys like Yordan and Jose Altuve, obviously at the top of the order that are well above that. But nobody's pulling them back at the bottom of the order. And at that point, maybe you draw from a position of strength, which is your batting, and then you go after a guy that plays good defense, but maybe the bat's not there. The Blue Jays, and the pitching obviously is another thing, but the Blue Jays have that in spades, and they have lots of assets. I do agree that I don't think the returns may be as good, but I don't think Ross Atkins is not going to try. Of course, we'll never know unless we just see a flurry of trades at the deadline.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. There's so much to talk about on this. The one problem I'll sort of leave it here as we'll sort of get into this series here. We've been talking about this and we will continue to talk about this for forever here. The Blue Jays don't have a pool of wealth right now in their prospect system. It's rough. Everybody that we have that's capable, besides Ricky Tiedemann, is playing for the main club right now.
Not or Elvis Martinez.
You know, besides draw problems, everybody else, yeah, that was tough. That's tough. Oh my God. That's exactly what Ross Levitan, host of Locked On Sens, said to me today when I said that exact same thing. No, so they don't have a pool. So they're going to have to rebuild that pool at some point. When will that be? This year, next year? Probably not, to be honest with you. They're a team that wants to win in the next few years. Will they be able to do that? Who knows? Probably not. It's not looking good. But they can't go full rebuild right now because they don't have the assets for that. And then you're throwing away guys like Vlad and Bo, who are still in their mid-20s in the exchange of going for a full rebuild. It's not a possibility, and I think as Blue Jays fans, we have to get that through our head that a rebuild is not currently an option. And that's going to hurt a lot of people because you see that they're not winning, but there's also no rebuild possibility. We're stuck in the middle.
Well, you have to remember, I guess the one good thing is they got a sick ballpark now. And they spent $500 million on that over the last 2 years. Rogers needs an immediate return on investment on. I don't care who you are and what you charge me for my phone bill. You gotta make some money. You need to put some butts in seats at the Rogers Center. And if you field the Buffalo Bisons, essentially, we got enough guys from Buffalo, and I love them all in, one way or another. But if your whole team's looking like that, I'm probably not spending money to come to the ballpark, to be honest. So that's the other motivation behind like what this team will do. And I don't believe for that reason, I don't believe Vlad and Bo are gone at the deadline. I just don't think it's possible. It's not a good business decision, and it's probably not a good baseball decision either.
Yeah, I 100% agree with you. And Skylar, we're going to have you back a ton here coming up. It's going to be into the flurry of trade deadline. We're going to do full coverage for you guys. Somebody is going to be available. If it's me, Carter, if it's Dallin Wilton, if it's Skylar Peters, somebody will be on here if something big happens. In case somebody's at work, we're going to have backups ready to roll. So we'll have all that for you guys as well. We're going to do a big trade deadline episode of what we honest to God think is going to happen. Give everybody sort of their place to say stuff. So if you have anything that you guys want to say on one of those episodes, you can DM me, Skylar, Carter, Dallin, whoever you want on Twitter. You can hit us up on Instagram. You can leave a comment down below. I'll start screenshotting all of them of what you guys want to see so we can bring them up in the episode towards the trade deadline. We're going to take a quick break. We got a series to preview. Just before we go, I want to give a shout out to the Locked On 24/7 streaming channel. You can find it on YouTube as well as on the Amazon Fire TV channels app. And it's available any time of day, any of the sports you want to watch. WNBA, I am honestly not a huge WNBA guy, but as soon as Caitlin Clark came in, I'm like, okay, I'm all in. This is some fun basketball. So I am keeping up to date with that. I hope you guys are as well. So yeah, check out the Locked On 24/7 streaming channel. Here on Locked On Blue Jays, we pride ourselves on getting you the latest news for your team, whether it's the offseason, the draft, spring training, or the playoffs. It's year-round. You know what else is year-round? Collection season. Just because tax season is over doesn't mean the IRS will stop coming after you for unfiled taxes. The IRS can diminish your wages, levy your bank accounts, and even seize your property. Don't let the IRS target you. Let the licensed professionals and tax experts at Tax Network USA go to bat for you. With over 14 years of experience and an A+ rating by the Better Business Bureau, Tax Network USA has saved their clients over $1 billion in tax debt. Whether you owe taxes, have complicated matters that require tax planning, or a financial hit that parlay this season, and you need to help correctly filing, call 1-800-549-1000 or visit tnusa.com/lockedon. And be sure to mention Locked On Blue Jays at checkout, and you'll receive a $250 discount off their services. Today's episode is also brought to you by Ibotta. Sandals, sunscreen, snacks for the kids. What do these have in common? You're probably buying a ton again this summer, but don't stress about the cost. Use Ibotta and get cash back on all of your purchases when you stock up on all summer essentials. Are you taking that dream vacation this summer but dreading the cost? With iBought, you can get cash back on all of your purchases. You can spend more time making memories this summer and less time dreaming about them. iBought is a free app that lets you get cash back every time you shop. Earn on hundreds of items from groceries to beauty supplies, even toys, so you can make sure you're beating inflation no matter what you're purchasing. The average iBought user earns $256 per year. That could cover the cost of an entire shopping trip, the flight that you've been eyeing, or the fancy dinner you've been craving. Other apps give you points that don't amount to much. With iBought, you earn cash back that can withdraw to your bank account, PayPal, or gift card. Simply add offers in the app. Upload your receipt, and voila, the money is yours. You can save over 2,400 brands and shop over 1,000 retailers, including your favorite grocery stores, Lowe's, Macy's, Sephora, Best Buy, and more. It's time you joined over the 50 million users who use iBought and earn cash back every time they shop. Right now, iBought is offering our listeners $5 for just trying iBought by using code LOCKEDONMLB when you register. Just go to the App Store or Google Play Store and download the free iBought app to start earning cash back and use code LOCKEDONMLB. That's IBOTTA in the Google Play or App Store and use code LOCKEDONMLB. Holy dude, I'm lightheaded. Jesus. I feel like I should be
take my mic off mute and rejoin you. This is nice.
So I should be doing one of those auctions somewhere. What am I auctioning off tractors down in Beauchester?
Oh, you can start auctioning off this roster if you want. Like, I mean, just have some other locked on hosts going and a little round table. We'll see what happens. Yeah, you're welcome for the content idea, by the way.
Well, it's it was sad. Another sad week in Blue Jays land, and I mean, I don't know, Skylar. Looking ahead, I mean, you got the Mariners coming up. Do you have any hope here? Honestly,
the Blue Jays are better in their last 10 than the Seattle Mariners. I feel fairly confident saying that, not because I can't think of, well, it is because I can't think of what the Blue Jays record is in the last 10, but the Mariners are 3-7 because I looked that up. The problem is that the Mariners are a way better team at home. Their bats are better. Their pitching's better. They've won a lot more games. Home, 28-16 in 44 games. On the road, 19-25 in 44 games. Team 7 games above 500. They've got great starting pitching, as we know, a lot of big names. They've got 5 relievers on the IL, kind of like us. And, they are in a much more competitive division in terms of them being competitive, not in terms of the best teams being better in the AL West. Obviously, the Houston Astros have something to say about that right now, and obviously it's going to be a dogfight for them for the rest of the series. But this is basically Toronto away, as we all know. There's going to be a lot of blue at T-Mobile Park over the next 3 games, something that we look forward to experiencing in Minneapolis a little bit later this summer. So, hopefully these guys at a higher level, just thinking about the series overall, hopefully the Blue Jays, kind of show up and show out for that. We've got some young guys that are going to be playing their first series, obviously in Seattle. It's a way different atmosphere when you're not in your own friendly confines, but it seems like everybody in the stand still wants you to win. So I'm really excited. Some good pitching matchups with the starters, some pitchers that have struggled relative to their career averages and what we've come to expect from them. But, 2 teams that are evenly matched, and I could see this going 2-1 either way. I don't see a split for either side.
Yeah, I agree. I don't think it's going to be a sweep. I think it's going to go 2-1 for somebody. We've pretty much, at the beginning of this year, we started to do predictions for every series. That's gone out the window because nobody really wanted to be right some of the times. It was painful. Carter started saying sweep every series at that point because whatever.
Well, that's what the Blue Jays need.
Badly.
Yeah. Let's go a little West Coast sweep heading into the All-Star break for the next, 10 games? That'd be sweet.
Yeah. It'd be classic Blue Jays to right before the All-Star break start playing amazing baseball, get off the All-Star break, and then just be back in the dumpster fire that has been this season. Just before we get into pitching matchups, just some stuff here that Carter, obviously not on this episode. He obviously was off work today as well. He did send me a bunch of stuff just that he's, been finding on Twitter and whatever else. He sort of did a deep dive today being at home. Ben Nicholson Smith had this to say. You are not exaggerating when you say this is the worst bullpen in baseball. They don't need just one or two. They need to acquire 5 or 6 relievers between now and opening day 2025. Ben Nicholson-Smith, ladies and gentlemen.
That hurts.
That is tough, dude.
Jeez. Like, what a difference a year makes. That I did not see that from Ben Nicholson-Smith. I have noticed the tone in the mainstream media around the Blue Jays getting quite frank. And I think it's just kind of a bit of a rub off on the way the fans are feeling and the general frustration. Like those guys show up to watch the team every day too. But that seems a little harsh, for the reasons I stated earlier in the episode with, your 4 top relievers. We're already thinking football here in Blue Jays land, apparently. Also, the Winnipeg Blue Bombers don't have receivers either. So no relievers, no receivers for any of the teams that Braden and I cheer for. But you got 4 of your, guys that you trust that aren't playing well or injured. And I guess 2 of them aren't playing well and 2 of them are injured. So, if you want to replace Erik Swanson, former Mariner, or Tim Mayza, I guess you're going to have to go out and do that. But it's going to be tough sledding. Free agencies, there's so many arms out there though. And let's remember, the one thing I will say with the Mariners is they don't have Matt Brash, which is really, it's honestly sad as a fan of a team that plays these guys 6 times a year, because his slider is the best pitch in baseball. It's not Paul Skeens fastball. I want something that's going to move, and nothing moves more than Matt Brash's slider. Like literally nothing has more break than that guy's slider. So would have loved to see the Blue Jays swing the garden hose around that thing a couple times. But this is a matchup of 2 teams that, who can battle through bullpen injuries the most, and, stars that are struggling. Julio Rodriguez, how many times have you heard his name this year, right? This guy's batting, I think 6th or 5th in the order right now. So it'll be, 2 teams that are in similar places, not in terms of record, but similar places in terms of, where they're at right now in the first week of July. But the Mariners obviously have a much rosier outlook.
Yeah. And I mean, you're going back to what you said just about the media surrounding the Blue Jays. I think maybe we're a little bit clueless to this because we see other people saying stuff. And I think the good thing with Locked On and sort of how we've run this podcast is we give our honest to God feelings as fans. And that's why, we like having Skylar and Dal on as well. They do the same thing. We're not these, we're not in with Sportsnet. We're not the Rogers. We're not whatever. And we have a little bit more freedom to say sort of what we want. And we do like that, because now these people seem to be trying to catch up with the fans and trying to win the fans back and making statements maybe like Ben Nicholson-Smith did here, where it's going over exaggeration to trying to get a reaction from people. And that's what I feel like a little bit is going on here. It's tough to see it, because it doesn't matter who you are. If you cover the team, if you're a fan of the team, even if you're probably from the outside looking in as a fan of another team, you see how disappointing this season was for Blue Jays fans. Just a couple more things before we get into sort of the pitching matchups. Skylar, Ricky Tiedemann, rehab start in single A, 3 2/3 innings pitched, 1 ERA, 3 hits, given up 6 strikeouts, 65 pitches. Do you have any inkling, any thought that this guy is going to join the main club, or will there be an opportunity for him to come up? Maybe not this season, but next?
I think he will make his MLB debut this year. Yeah, I think it's going to be in September at some point. Something to give the fans a little something to cheer about, something to get excited about. This team's not going to look, hopefully, anywhere near the same at that time. There's probably going to be openings in the rotation. And, it's not Ricky Tiedemann, come on up and, give us 6 strong every 5 days. It's Ricky Tiedemann, like, come on up, spot start, get the people going. I really think that's my gut feeling on this, but low and slow with this guy overall for sure. No need to rush him up. First of all, we've got good starting pitching. If it wasn't for an Alek Manoah injury, we'd have 5.5, 6 starters basically with Yariel Rodriguez coming back. So I would love to see him though. That would get me really jazzed when I'm starting to watch everybody kind of prime themselves up for the playoffs, and the Blue Jays are, already putting the bats in the bag, getting ready to go to Cabo.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think it's going to be something like that. I just think there's no room for him, at least before the trade deadline, to come up. And I don't necessarily know, with all the other Bison's players sort of coming up, I don't think you wait until next season to give him the first look, or start a season with a rookie to give him his first outing. I don't think that's the best idea either. So I think we'll see him at the end of this season. I know their fans are excited. That's the one guy everybody wants to see. So we'll see what happens. But let's quickly go over sort of what we're looking at this weekend. Castillo on Friday against Kevin Gausman, 3.79 for Castillo. Kevin Gausman, 4.26 ERAs. Saturday, it's going to be Yariel Rodriguez, of course. And then the Seattle Mariners haven't announced anybody. Me and you tried to go over and take a look.
Yeah.
And
No idea what's going on there. They've got some options. They don't have really that many long arms in the pen. It doesn't seem like right now with the injuries that they do have. I think they have 4 relievers that are hurt, and not all of them on 15-day IL either. Like some guys are going to be out and have been out for a while. So we'll see. Yeah, it could be a bit of a mess on Saturday between the Jays going with their 5th starter, obviously, and Rodriguez didn't have his strongest game as a Jay, obviously, on Canada Day either, and the guys that came in after him didn't. That's for sure. So we're going to see all those guys again on Saturday. Let's hope Gausman gives us something to cheer about. Big outing from Kevin Gausman, I think today is the key. Just give this bullpen, like basically everybody that you think of, especially the Trevor Richards, the Chad Greens of the world, they're 1 game away from not being available on Saturday. And the Blue Jays are probably going to need a lot of those guys available on Saturday, I think. So, if Gausman can go 6-7, that would be just huge for the ball club. Luis Castillo, we know what he can do. We've seen him do it against this team. We've seen him do it against this team in the playoffs. Not playing as well as he has in his career to this point. ERA is a little higher, but he is way better at home, as I said. So I'm really excited for this. The one thing I will say about this series, these 9 p.m. starts, money for me. So I feel so bad for everybody in Toronto, though. That's going to settle in on a Friday night, and you're probably, hopefully, a couple of libations in, ready to watch this ball club out in Seattle. But I love the 9 p.m. Central starts. So I'll get to see most of this tomorrow night, and should be a whole lot of Ks, hopefully, if these guys are both on.
Yeah, you'd hope so. I mean, it doesn't really do me much justice because I think Bombers today start 7:30. So I'll maybe catch the back end of the game. We'll see. I'll probably just honestly run 2 screens at work and just, call it a day. But, we'll keep that under wraps here because nobody listens to this at work. So we're good. Then Sunday, Jose Berrios versus Kirby. Kirby's pitching at 3.35. Jose Berrios with a 3.38. So that should be another interesting matchup. Hopefully, Jose Berrios can, get back to what he's been doing. He's had a bit of a rough go as of late, but. And
Kirby, obviously, we know is a guy that never walks anyone. Walks have been up for him. He's still well under the MLB average. His last game 2 nights ago, if you're listening to this on Friday, against the Orioles did not go well. But overall, I think in the last month, his ERA is 1.78 or something like that. And his season ERA is in the 3s, I believe you just said, high 3s. So he has been playing better. Berrios started so hot and has kind of faded off a little bit since then, but I thought he had a good outing in this series against Houston too. I think that was the Tuesday nighter. So we'll see what happens in that one.
Yeah. We'll have to see. I don't know. Good episode. I appreciate you sort of popping on here for Carter because, he's had a rough week, and honestly, I've pulled him away a little bit from trying to heal up to do the podcast. So having you on, it's always a blast, my man.
Thank you. I am the Bowden Francis to Carter's Yariel Rodriguez. Sometimes you just got to take the ball from one guy and hand it to another, John Schneider, and you have done that. So congratulations to you. Other than sleeping, I can't think of anything better I'd rather be doing right now.
Yeah, I'm with you. I'm about dead. The morning shifts this week have been killing me, and then I hopped on straight from morning shifts right into an evening shift. So, and then tomorrow's Bombers, which I'll be at work till midnight probably. So yeah, fun time. But Saturday, we're gonna get the boys together. Gonna buzz a little bit, have 1 or 2 pops here and there.
We'll have a full baseball game to talk about with a little afternoon start, so don't mind that at all. And should be a great time. West Coast games, man. I'm going to be locked into almost everything for the next 3 series here heading into the All-Star break. So looking forward to it.
Yeah, should be fun. Anyway, wanted to throw it one more time to our Locked On 24/7 streaming channel as well. You can find on your Amazon Fire TV channels apps any time of day you want, 4 a.m., 4 p.m., whatever you want to do. It's there for you. Really appreciate you guys tuning in. And we're going to have the next month is going to be interesting with the trade deadline coming up. So hopefully you guys will keep tuning back in. Over the weekend, we'll have TikToks, Instagram Reels, YouTube Shorts covering all the games. And if anything crazy ever goes down, we'll hopefully be ready to go live for you guys. Thanks again for watching.